ॐ ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। निरञ्जनं नित्यमनन्तरूपं भक्तानुकम्पाधृतविग्रहं वै ईशावतारं परमेशमीड्यं तं रामकृष्णं शिरसा नमामि। यथाग्नेर्दाहिका शक्ति रामकृष्णे स्थिता हिया सर्वविद्यास्वरूपान्तां शारदां प्रणमाम्यहम्। रामाय रामचन्द्राय रामभद्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सत्यमेव आनृषं सञ्चयं राजवृत्तं सनातनं तस्मात् सत्यात्मकं राज्यं सत्ये लोकः प्रतिष्ठितः। We are seeing the assertion of Bhagavan Ramji that Satyavan eva jayati. A man of truth alone is successful in life. In the personal context, his success is in terms of freedom from split personality, freedom from guilt, freedom from fear and anxiety, and freedom from conflict born out of split personality. And in social context, the success is in terms of higher self-dignity, honor from the society. In order to have proper judgment from the society, one should be a man of honesty. Without honest, no one in the creation so far and in future also will never have respect from the society, will never have freedom from conflict and anxiety. One may argue that I can manage by pretension, I can manage to be good even though I am not good. I can manage. If one argues, Ramji says it will be a painful affair. How many days, how many years you will have a mask over you? Having a normal face is the most easiest thing. Having a decorated face will be a painful one. However much you apply Fair and Lovely and so many other creams, it will not long last. With regard to physical appearance, if this is the fact, with regard to the appearance towards oneself in respect of moral personality, Ramji says, it will be a painful affair to be a man of pretension. One has to remember all the lies one has told already, and one has to build up those lies and lies and lies. Anywhere, any short circuit happens, the problem is entire building, that castle which is built upon lie, will be collapsed. So one day the person will be a loka doshanaha. Bhagavan says, one day a person will be loka doshanaha. Therefore, one should not take to adharma, one should not take to asatya if he is interested in living a successful and a happy life. Not only that, as a member of a society, I should be a responsible person. Response in terms of having a honest life. That will be the great contribution from every individual. All other contributions in terms of money, in terms of knowledge, in terms of arts and music and science doesn't have long lasting life. Those who have contributed in terms of character, they alone are still revered by the society. Therefore, as a normal citizen, a person should be a responsible citizen. How he can show the responsibility in his life is being honest. And that will be the great contribution to his own family members, to his own children, and to the society in large. Therefore, Ramji says, I am a responsible person, I cannot be dishonest. Not only I am a responsible citizen, I am a responsible leader also. Somehow or the other, life has kept me at the top of the ladder because I am born to a king. Therefore, everybody considers me as future king. As a future king, I should be a responsible person, because if king is not honest, what for this kingdom? How can he run this kingdom? If he himself declared that I am for adharma, then how can he expect the society to be with law and order? Therefore, any violation on my part, even the slightest violation, will lead to chaos in society. Therefore, I will not accept this Rajyam by means of telling lie, by means of disrespecting my father's promise. If I accept Rajyam, what for I should accept? If you argue that it is my property because I am the eldest son of the Raja, that is the argument of dynasty argument. I will not accept because it is my property. I will not accept because people want me to their leader. So neither dynasty argument nor democracy argument will hold. If at all I have to accept this Rajya, the leadership of this Rajya, and that is for establishing law and order in this society. If the king himself is adharmic, then adharma will be state sponsored. Correct? If adharma is state sponsored, how can the state exist? How can the state exist with security? That's what happened. 20-30 years before, there was a Cold War between USA and Russia. In order to handle Russia, USA has created one outfit called Taliban. What happened? Now the very Taliban is the threat to the USA. So state-sponsored violation will be threat to the very state itself. Therefore, I cannot be an adharmic person. And without having dharma as the scale of measuring the society, as the scale of running the society, if dharma is not the scale, then what will be the scale? Can a person's whims and fancies be scale? Can a leader's whims and fancies can be the scale to rule this country? Can a judge declare that I don't like you, therefore you are murdered? I like you very much, therefore you are awarded. Can a judge declare like that? Therefore, without dharma, what is the scale by which I can rule the country? And not only that, if Raja does not have dharma as a scale, then when he applies some scale, naturally the citizen will not obey for that scale. Scale means what? Judgment. Suppose somebody comes to the court and Raja is informed that this person is a criminal because he is refused to pay the money which was taken by his father. Then Raja asks, how much loan you have to pay back? 2 lakh rupees. Who has borrowed that loan? My father. Therefore, I need not pay back, the criminal says. Then Raja has to ask, how much money, property you got from your father? 2 crore. When you got 2 crore, why can't you pay 2 lakh? He says, no, I cannot pay. Then Raja has to say, no, you have to pay. You have to respect the promise of your father. Then the same citizen will ask me. These are all Ramji's argument. The same citizen will ask me, did you respect your father's promise? Did you went to forest? So therefore, Sanatanam Raja Vrittam Satyam Andrushamsam Cha. Raja Vritti is a lifestyle of a Raja, a leader is always Satyam and care and compassion. Tasmat Rajyam Satyatmakam. Therefore, kingdom is established in Satyam. Kingdom is for establishing the Satyam. The kingdom should be already established in Satyam. The acceptance of kingdom by a leader will be for the sake of establishing more and more law and order. So neither dynasty argument nor democracy argument will work with me. I will accept the kingdom only if it is proper and if it is meant to do proper thing. Not only that, Ramji here gives a beautiful assertion that Satye Lokaha Pratishtitaha. It's a beautiful and powerful assertion. Up to this we saw in the last class. Here only we stopped because of long gap. I have to bring back entire flashback to your mind. Therefore I gave long introduction. What is this assertion? Ramji says entire society, why entire creation is sustained by value called Satyam. If you take the human society, entire human life is nothing but transaction with others. In our life, we do transaction constantly, we transact with the other member of the society, and any transaction demands trustworthiness of that person. I should have trust with that person with whom I am transacting. I cannot transact with a untrustful person. Because any transaction requires trustworthiness. Trustworthiness always demands for truthfulness on the part of that member. Therefore, if the person is 100% truthful, he is 100% trustworthy. In 100% trustworthy, all the transaction will be 100% risk free. Correct? Everybody gives advertisement. Come and invest in our company, invest in our shares, invest in our bank, like that. All the people are advertising. To whom we are going? We are first seeing what? Whether the money will be paid back or not. Whether 33.3% interest is going to come or not. Whether my investment will come back or not. Even if it is 8% interest, it is enough because it is guaranteed. What is that guarantee? This is what? Trustworthiness. That particular bank has declared itself as a nationalized bank. Therefore, your money is secured. Another bank which is in the form of private bank or anything, that is not proved its trustworthiness. Therefore, we don't transact with that bank at all. Therefore, 100% truth means 100% trust. In 100% trustworthiness, 100% security. No truth, no trust, no security. All truth, all trust, all security. If you take a child's life, suppose the child is living in a family and it is totally weak individual. It cannot take care of itself. 100% it is helpless. Therefore, its trust will be what? 100%. The child has the trust towards the parent. If the parent are not trustworthy people, what will happen to that child? Nowadays, in modern society, we are coming across certain news wherein parents prove that they are not trustworthy. Parents themselves misbehave with the children. We are coming across certain unfortunate news. Why? Because the child thinks that my parent is trustworthy. Therefore, only every child is carefree when it is around the parent. Correct? When a child is around the parent, around the family members, it is carefree, fully relaxed, no fear, no anxiety in that mind of the child. Why? Because in its mind, there is a conviction, people around me are trustworthy people. The same child goes to the market. Will it be free from anxiety and fear? So wherever there is no trust, there is no security, there will be always fear. And if you just extend your imagination, suppose you have declared that unless I verify, I will not have trust on anyone. Suppose if you declare. You are inside the house. Somebody brings water. You don't know whether it is trustworthy water or not. And that bottle you see, date of manufacture, date of expiry, 100% free of germs, these, that, so many bottled waters are there. Na? Even though 90% of the bottled water are full of contamination, still everybody advertises this is bacteria free water. Suppose you say, no, unless I verify it, I will not drink. So, to even have a drink, to drink water, you should be convinced about the trustworthiness of the person who provides you water. And somebody brings food. Suppose mind says there may be poison in the food. And you are sitting, above fan is running, and there is a possibility that fan may fall. You don't have trust towards the electrician. Whether this electrician is trustworthy person or not, you don't know. So inside the house you cannot stay naturally, because you don't know when this 4th floor flat will sink. You don't know. You don't have trust in the contractor. So inside house, not a single moment of life is possible, because anything you come across is provided by others, and all of them will be useful only when you have trust towards that object and trust towards the person who has provided that object. Correct? So naturally you come away. So you are fearful and anxious if you are inside the house, because you don't know when this flat will go inside and when the fan will fall, who will give you poison, who will give you contaminated water. So you don't have conviction at all. So you come out. When you come out, you should have trust over the person who goes on the road. If you don't trust him, if you suspect him, he may have guns. If you suspect that he is a terrorist, if you suspect that law and order will not work at all, that's why riot times, what everybody does, whenever riot happens, what everybody does, all rush towards where? Road, all rush towards road, or riot place, all rush? No, everybody rushes towards home. Why? Because that is a safe place. There also you find there is a terrorist sitting there with AK-47. What you will do? You will again rush to another place, another place, another place. Wherever there is a person with whom you cannot have trust, you will not be secure. Therefore, life is impossible. Not only with regard to things, with regard to people. If parents don't trust children, what will happen? If child doesn't trust the mother's word, child asks, Mummy, who is my father? Mother shows one individual, so and so is your father. If child says, what is the proof? I cannot believe you. What is the proof? Suppose child says, child doesn't say, that's why it is nice. As a child, it accepts mother's words that so and so is my father. So parents should have trustworthiness when they want child to trust them. Similarly, spouse should have trustworthiness. If both cheat each other, what will happen? Is there a possibility of family? Similarly, servants. Similarly, security guard. We are employing security guard to secure them. But if we don't trust them, what will happen? What will happen? Therefore, you can extend your imagination. You may not trust the electrician, plumber, driver, servant, family people. Suppose if you don't have trust at all with anyone, Ramji says, no life is possible. No life is possible without trust. And no trust is possible without truthfulness. Therefore, entire life, entire society is sustained by truthfulness of its members. If everybody violates, who will be trustworthy person with whom you can have transaction? Without transaction, how can you have a peaceful, secured life? Therefore, neither you can be comfortable inside the house nor outside the house once the trust is breached. Therefore, truthfulness alone guarantees trustworthiness. Trustworthiness alone guarantees security, peace and happiness. And if you think little bit more, even this so-called criminal society, there is a society, underground society, criminal society. They don't walk with free face, they don't walk on daylight. They always walk with covered face and night hours only. Even in that so-called criminal society, if the member of that society is not trustworthy person, what will happen? Because there is no accounts, there is no check. Suppose one person gives money, and in normal society when we give money, what we do? We pay check, correct? But there nothing, check, bank account, nothing is there. Only word. So he says, go and hand over this currency, 5 lakh currency, and he will give drug. So there is a drug group, suppose, imagine. It's a criminal group. In that society also, even the so-called criminal must be trustworthy person. If anybody breaches the trust, immediately what is the next one? His life is simply what we call dismissed. So Ramji says, even in criminal society, every member is expected to be truthful. Because in their life, there is no record at all. Therefore, their truthfulness is more than us. Understood? At least our check can be postponed. One date you have given one check, so you can tell, hey, that day in my account there will not be money, please postpone for 1 week, like that. But their life, their transaction will be what? No postponing business. If they say, so and so time, so and so place, so and so thing will be handed over to you, things will happen. If it doesn't happen, the person will not be there for next trial at all. Here at least you can have trial. One time I gave a date, now I am not able to keep up that date, you please forgive me, extend 1 more week, like that you can have excuses and have a second chance. In criminal society, there is nothing called second chance to prove your trustworthiness. Only one chance. So if that is the rule for criminal society, Ramji asked, so-called educated, modern, scientific society, if it doesn't have truth, what will happen to this society? Therefore, Satye Lokaha Pratishtitaha. In Satyam alone, entire society is established, because Satyam happened to be a constant value irrespective of your condition, your nationality, your education, your age, your gender. Everyone has to have this particular value. What is that value? Satyam. Other values according to the condition and profession and gender and nationality. Ahimsa, if you take ahimsa, non-injury, not hurting others. That is a conditional value. And it is absolute with regard to a renunciate, with regard to a monk, that value must be followed absolutely. At least 99%. So if anybody comes and gives him slap or tries to kill him also, as a monk, he should not resist, he should accept that brutality. Suppose same brutality is towards family member, should that husband keep quiet? When brutality is done towards their family members? Shastra says, no, you have to fight against it. So ahimsa paramo dharmaha, a sannyasi can say, but ahimsa paramo dharmaha, a person who is bordering the nation, and border he is on the border, LOC border, Pakistan LOC border. Somebody tries to infiltrate and they are shooting. So this army wala says, ahimsa paramo dharmaha. Can army wala say? So there are many values which are for particular people at particular situation with particular gender, with particular purpose. But this value called Satyam doesn't have any of these restrictions. Therefore, Satyam happened to be a constant value in human life. No one can violate this constant. Everyone has to align their life according to the constant. Why? Because it is constant. Say for example, when you are traveling in a motorbike, you are traveling in a village road and you find in between the road there is a small boulder. What you do? You stop your vehicle and get down and try to remove the boulder and put it aside and go. Correct? And you are traveling still ahead and you find huge Himalayan mountain is standing in front of you. What you will do? What you will do? Will you try to move it? Why? Because it is constant. It is constant. You cannot move it. So, in our parampara, there is a beautiful story to make this point. What is the meaning of constant? How one should align their life according to the constant. So, it seems in ocean, American warship was going, and the captain of that warship found there is another ship is coming. By seeing some other light, so he understood that another ship is coming. Then he calculated the speed of his ship and direction of the ship, and that light also he has calculated, and he sent a telegram. Take left 30 degrees. Message from captain of USA warship. Then reply came, please take 30 degrees right. So this captain got angry. What? You are ordering me? This fellow is ordering me? Then again he sent the telegram. I am captain of warship of USA. I order. First is what? Suggestion. Second is order. I order. Take left 30 degree. Then again reply came. Please take 30 degree right. We cannot move. Then this captain got angry and told, this is the last warning. I am going to put a bomb. Take left 30 degrees. Then reply came. This is the last request. We cannot move. Please take your ship 30 degrees right. Signed by clerk in lighthouse. You may be captain of warship, but you have to obey the clerk's words, because he is sitting where? In lighthouse. He is a constant entity. Therefore, in our life, we should align with constants, and Satyam is one of the greatest constant. Therefore, those who have aligned their life with Satyam, their life becomes immortal life. Whoever violated Satyam, they are simply destroyed by the Kala. Those who have aligned their life according to Satyam, their life becomes immortal life. How many names you want? Bhagavan Rama himself is immortal life. Till date we are talking. And when Ramji talks, he talks about his predecessors, Harishchandra. Till date we remember that great personality. When we hear a word, Satyam, immediately in our mind, whose name comes? This Harishchandra name comes. Therefore, Satye Lokaha Pratishtitaha. In Satyam alone, not only the society, the entire creation is established. Therefore, one cannot hope to change that constant. One should align with that constant. Ramji continues. Kshatram dharmamaham tyakshe hyadharmam dharma samhitam kshudraihi nishamsaihi lubdaishya sevitam papakarmabihi. Another assertion. Here Bhagavan says, adharma is committed by kshudraihi, nishamsaihi, lubdaihi, papakarmabihi. Violation is always done by short-sighted people, weak people, cruel people, greedy people. And those adharma may appear as dharma. Their actions may appear as dharma sanhitam. It may be what we call advertised as dharma, but everyone knows what is dharma and adharma. Such a kshatram dharma, such a cruel dharma, which happened to be adharma, aham tyakshe. Then question comes, no, if you give up this kingdom, you have to suffer for 14 years just to keep your father's promise. You have not promised. Your father only promised. Just to keep his promise, you have to suffer for 14 years. Then Bhagavan says, where is the question of suffering for a man of honesty? What is our understanding? If a person is truthful, he will be suffering like Harishchandra. After seeing Harishchandra drama, nowadays modern society, how it declares, if truthfulness means this much suffering, I don't want. But Ramji says, where is the suffering in the life of a truthful person, you tell? There is no suffering at all. Satpurushaihi chirnaha bharaha tadartham abhinandyate. Pratyagatma mimam dharmam satyam pashyamyaham dhruvam bharaha satpurushai chirnaha tadartham abhinandyate. Satpurushaihi chirnaha bharaha tadartham abhinandyate. For a Satpurusha, for an ordinary person, these things may appear as situations of suffering. But for a noble person, for a Satpurusha, these sufferings encountered for the sake of truth is nothing but happy encounters. And there is no connection between external comforts and my happiness. What is our knowledge? If things are nice around us, we are happy. Ramji says, if things are around us, we may not be happy also. There is no connection between our happiness and things around us. Between wealth and happiness, there is no connection. Between power and prosperity and happiness, there is no connection. Between comforts and happiness, there is no connection at all. Happiness is a state of mind when a person doesn't have any conflict with himself. Happiness is a state of mind when a person doesn't have any conflict with himself. Therefore, I don't find anything suffering situation. Vanavasa not started. This dialogue are happening where? Chitrakuta, between Jabali and Ramji. When Bharata wanted Rama to come back, Jabali says all these arguments. Ramji says, for the sake of keeping the truth in one's life, whatever suffering happens in Satpurusha's life, they are all not source of suffering or unhappiness. It is nothing but happy encounters. That's why in Harishchandra's story we find that person is ready to do anything. He has given up his kingdom. He went to forest and took up the work of a security guard for cremation ground. And his wife also says, you sell me also. I will never ask my husband to tell one lie. Instead, I am ready to sell myself. And child says, you sell me also, father. You should be a man of truth. I can give up me for the sake of your truth. Then what happens? Child dies. And that mother was not able to even cremate that child. That moment, the devatas come and say, tell one lie. Harishchandra, tell one lie. Indra comes and asks, what boon you want? Harishchandra asks, what boon you know? He did not ask his dead child should come up. He did not ask his lost kingdom to get back. He asked, up to my lifetime, I should hold on to this truth. And Durvasa Rishi, who was instrument in bringing out the greatness of Harishchandra, he comes there. He appears as the villain. Durvasa appears as the villain, but actually he was an instrument in bringing the glory of Harishchandra. If Durvasa is not there, there is no Harishchandra at all. That's what Ramji says. If all this, the tough time in the life of noble people, if these tough times are not there, their glory will never come out. Therefore, these noble people accept these tough times, struggles, and protect their truth. And they don't consider these struggles as villains. They consider them as happy encounters. So Harishchandra refused to tell one lie. Even when Bhagavan Ishvara Shiva comes and says, accept. He says, no Bhagavan, I cannot. Then Bhagavan gives him what? He gives him an epithet, a degree. Harishchandra, you are Satyam. He could have told, you are man of Satyam. But Ishvara says there, you are Satyam. I never saw a person who held on Satyam with this intensity. So, Harishchandra's story says that. And Shibi Chakravarti, you might have heard that Shibi Chakravarti, there was a king. And pigeon comes inside his palace and tries to hide out of fear, because another vulture was chasing that pigeon. And pigeon speaks, it seems. Those days pigeon speak. Or those days people had that capacity to understand the bird speaking. Please give me protection. He says, yes, I have given you protection. Then within few minutes that vulture comes and asks, send that fellow out, send that fellow out. Then Shibi Chakravarti says, you have a lot of birds. Why can't you go for all those things? I have given protection for this bird. So that vulture was very particular about this pigeon. These are all drama, you know. Then the vulture says, if at all you are interested in protecting your truth, you give me equal flesh. What he did? He simply cut his thigh and gave it to that. As even he cut and gave it, handed over to that vulture, the vulture appears as Indra. So therefore, all these encounters are nothing but happy encounters. In Mahabharata, we come across a beautiful situation wherein Yudhishthira stands very tall. In our appreciation, he stands very tall. What happened? That after the humiliation of Draupadi, second time they were called to play the gambling. That time also, Yudhishthira and Pandavas lost in the game and they had to go to 13 years. 12 years forest and 1 year Ajnatavasa. So they have agreed and they have gone to forest. 13th day over. 14th day early morning, Arjuna, Bhima, Nakula, Sahadeva, all the 4 brothers, just simply they dress themselves as warriors. They have taken weapons and they come and bow down to Yudhishthira asking his blessing. Then Yudhishthira asked, blessing for what? No, blessing for war. We are going to war. What? With whom? With Duryodhana. No, we have agreed that 13 years we will live in the forest. How can you go for war? Even though the war is allowed, see the possession which you have lost by gambling, you can get back by going by war. But still, since I have agreed 13 years this war is not allowed. So how can you go for war? 13 years you have to live in the forest. Then Bhima says, 13 years over. What? 13 years over? So he quotes Dharma Shastra. Apad Dharma it is called, wherein 13 days can be considered as 13 years. 13 days over. More than this, what Apad can be there? So it is Apad Dharma, we can go for war. Then Yudhishthira says, no, I cannot accept. When I told 13 years means, it is 13 into 365 into 24 hours. So I cannot. Like that he was arguing. By that time, Krishna comes as a visitor. Then they have told this argument. Then Krishna says, yes, what Bhima says is right. They have done adharma. They have taken your entire property by adharma. So there is no problem in taking recourse of this apad dharma. To establish dharma, you can take recourse to apad dharma. Krishna will talk this side and that side also. Okay. That's a problem with Krishna. Then knowing the Lord also joining with the Bhima and Arjuna, what Yudhishthira said, do you know? He simply fell down at the feet of the Lord. Even though in age Krishna was junior, but still he fell down at the feet of the Lord and held his feet and says, O Lord, please protect my Satya. Please protect my Satya. When this prayer is done, immediately Bhagavan says, yes, 13 years I will wait for paying this humiliation. There is no need for Bhagavan to wait for 13 years. He himself can go and get back the kingdom because he is a relative of Pandavas. So if the one relative is weak person, on behalf of him, another relative can go and get back the kingdom. So Bhagavan was willing to do that, and all the brothers were ready to do that. But still, Yudhishthira says, I cannot take back my word. Satya, more important than any other kingdom in my life. So, all these encounters are happy encounters in the life of the people because they are noble people, they are Satpurushas. With regard to an ordinary person, even 10 rupees is enough to make him to tell lie. 10 rupees. Even one laddu is enough. One laddu. Suppose you distribute a laddu, this fellow goes and stands in queue and takes that laddu. Again he comes and stands in the queue. Suppose if you say, hey, you have taken already. No sir. One laddu. Ordinary laddu. After 4 hours or 5 hours it is going to be evacuated from his body. For that laddu, now person, ordinary. That's the difference between ordinary mind and extraordinary minds. So Bhagavan says, I am not ordinary mind. Aham imam satyam pratyaghatmam dharmamiti pashyami. I know what is the content of this human society. Pratyagatma means content. Atma means content. What is that? Pratyagatma of my life is nothing but satyam. Iti aham pashyami. Bhagavan continues. Soham pidurnirdesham tu kimartam nanupalaye satya pratishravas satyam satyena samayi kritam. Such a person I am, I cannot violate satyam because I am satya pratishravaha. It's a beautiful epithet. Like this one person should boast. Here Ramji boasts, do you know who am I? I am a man of honesty whose words are taken as Veda. He says, I am Satya Pratishravaha whose words are followed by others as dictum. Such a person I am. I don't find any reason to violate my father's promise because Pitur Nirdesham Satyena Samayi Kritam Satyam. What he ordered is not adharma, it is exactly dharma. The very word that I should go to forest is exactly dharma. So I cannot violate the dharma. Satya satyam kimartham nanupalaye. As a son, I should be a responsible person by keeping my father's word. As a citizen, I should be a responsible person by holding a model to the society, at least to the 2-3 people in my family. As a leader of the society, I should be more and more model in my behavior and character because people follow the leaders. And a person can contribute to the society just being a man of honesty. Therefore, in conclusion, social angle also, a Satyavan eva jayate. In social aspect also, a man of truth alone wins the life. You can win one car, you can win one post by lie, but you cannot win the life. You can win a degree. Nowadays, children win degrees by lying, by copying, by chasing the exam papers. You can win a house, you can construct a flat, you can construct a big palace also by telling lies and lies, but you cannot win the life. Life is not depend upon any of these things. Life is completely depend upon your judgment about yourself, your conflict-free mind. Success in life is always depend upon conflict-free mind. If a person's mind is full of conflicts, and that too not with others, with himself, if he has conflicts, where is the question of having peace and happiness when the mind is not peaceful? Where is the question of enjoying the things around us? Therefore, as an individual in my personal life, I want to be a successful person by having conflict-free mind, by having higher self-dignity. In social context, being a responsible person, I cannot cheat others. I cannot hurt others by cheating others. I should be a trustworthy person because every person transacts with me with this basic trust that I am trustworthy person. To consider someone as trustworthy person also is a trust, correct? So I cannot violate that trust. And being a Raja, I cannot be a wrong model. If I violate Satyam, with which scale I will rule this country? If Satyam and Dharma is not the scale for ruling this country, what will be the scale? Where is the society? Where will be the country at all? And moreover, a man of self-dignity I am, I should get proper certificate from the society. Social honor is more important than my life. Being a Kshatriya, social honor is more important. In the social honor category, I don't want this idiot's social honor. I want honor from wise people, and that honor can never be bought. Who are the wise people? In the last class I told you. Who are these? These sadhus will never honor a man of dishonesty. And their certificate alone stands. In the last class I gave the example of Ravana. Ravana got certificate from Brahmaji. What is the certificate? So and so is editor of Veda. So and so is powerful than all the Devatas. That is the certificate by Brahmaji. Then Shiva gave certificate that he is my devotee. Devatas gave certificate he is more powerful than us. Kubera gave certificate that he is more wealthier than me. And his relatives gave certificate that he is most benevolent person. Women gave him certificate that he is a beautiful person. And all his relatives and Rakshasa Kula gave certificate that you are our protector. But sadhus gave him certificate he is a cantankerous person. Now which certificate stands, you tell? As even you hear the name of Ravana, which certificate comes? Ravana is equal to cantankerous person. That certificate alone stands. All other certificates become invalid once this sadhu certificate is opposite to the certificate which you have got in the society. Therefore Ramji says, being a man of self-dignity, I want good conduct certificate from the wise people, the sadhus. Up to this, from the worldly life angle. From the angle of ordinary worldly life. Now Ramji is going to say, human being life is not confined to this worldly existence only. There is a life after death. So in the beginning, introduction I told, Ramji will assert that Satyavan eva jayati, that man of truth alone will win the life. 4 angles, 4 contexts. One is worldly life context, in that itself, in personal context and in social context. The third one is from the religious angle. Fourth one is from the spiritual angle. 2 angles we have seen, that is worldly life in personal context, in social context. Worldly achievements in personal context, in social context. Now third angle we are going to see, that is religious angle, and in that religious angle Ramji says there is a life after death. What is the proof? What is the proof? There is a life after death, because many people don't accept. What is the proof? Our own suffering. Present day suffering is the pratyaksha pramanam. Why suffering should come to an individual, you tell? Nobody worked for it, nobody decides for it, nobody spends money for suffering, but everybody gets suffering unexpectedly. So Vedanta says, the very fact you are getting suffering in present life is the proof that you have past life. And you have done something, therefore. If you don't accept this argument, then where is the explanation for human suffering? There are some religions which say there is only one birth And that birth is here Bhuloka only. So a child is born as a blind child. And that too in Afghanistan. And that too as a female child. Imagine. What will be the condition of that child? So if the child asks, why should I be born here? All the three are disadvantages, correct? Getting birth in Afghanistan in this present condition, and as a female child and as a blind child. Who is the cause for my suffering? If the child asks, where is the explanation? You have to tell it is all Lord's wish. Hare, Lord's wish? For His wish I should suffer? So you can never explain human suffering unless you understand that there was a past life. Another proof is, anything happens once will happen always, correct? Anything happens once will always happen at many times. If that is a fact. For life is a fact, everybody accepts. World is a reality, everybody accepts. And human life is a fact or shadow? Your body is a fact or shadow? Do you consider your body and life as shadow, cinema, or actual? Actual. So since it is a factual one for you, then how can you say that it will happen only once? The very fact it happened now shows that it can happen in future also. It might have been in the past also. This is for ordinary person's understanding. This argument is told. What is that argument? Pratyaksha pramanam is the fact. But for Rama, Pratyaksha is not pramanam. Ramji says, Shastram Veda is my source of knowledge, to be convinced that there is a life after death. Now what is the first assertion? There is a life after death. What is the proof? Veda says so. Ramji says, Veda says so. Now the question comes, how can you say that Veda is truthful? Whatever Veda say, how can you accept? It's an ordinary book or mere words of some rishis. And one rishi talks one thing. I am also rishi. Who says? Jabali. I am also rishi. So I also say this. So how can you say that Veda is pramanam? Ramji says, you are not rishi, you are Dadiwala rishi. Dadiwala rishi means what? Dadi alone is there. Dadi means beard. Beard alone is there. Just because having sporting beard, a person cannot be called rishihi. Rishihi means what? Rishati, janati, atma tattvamiti, rishihi. One who sees the fact. One who sees himself as the fact. One who sees the fact, one statement. Another statement, one who sees himself as the ultimate fact. Rishati janati atma tattvamiti rishihi. So all the words told in the name of rishi are not facts. All the words which are verified by others, which are testified by others, which stands the time, that alone can be called as Veda. And the Veda stands the test of the time, and anybody can test it. Now, to understand that Veda is pramanam, it's a aside subject. Unless you understand this, you cannot understand the arguments of Ramji. Therefore, I have to take this argument, this subject only. The assertion is, Veda is pramanam. Pramanam means what? Source of knowledge. Like eyes are source of knowledge to know forms and colors. Ears are source of knowledge to know sound. Skin is source of knowledge to know the touch. Tongue is source of knowledge to know the taste. And nose is source of knowledge to know the smell. Similarly, to know the individual, what is the source of knowledge? Veda. How can you say that they are source of knowledge? There is a basic question. Is there a world? Everybody says yes. Is it real or shadow? Everybody says it is real. How can you say that it is real, tangible world? Because I see, I touch, I hear, I smell, I taste. Correct? Because my sense organs show that it is real, therefore it is real. Now the question comes, how can you say whatever your sense organs show is real? Then the answer is, what it shows is unique. What it shows cannot be denied. What it shows is useful. Anadigata abadita arthavat jnana bhotakam pramanam. It's a subtle topic. The idea is human life is led with the help of sense organs. What is their role in our life? They are sources of knowledge. Correct? How they can be proved as sources of knowledge? Because what they reveal is unique. What eyes reveal cannot be revealed by ears. Cannot be verified by ears. Suppose eyes reveal that this is a yellow color book. Can I take this book and near the ears to see that whether it is yellow or black? Can I ask the ears? So ears will say it is not my field. Correct? So each source is unique source. What it reveals is unique, cannot be denied by other source, and it is useful one also. Similarly, Veda fulfills all these three criteria. What Veda shows is unique, and it cannot be denied by other five sense organs, and what Veda reveals is useful. What Veda shows about ourselves? Veda says, you are Amritasya Putraha. Our sense organ says, you are balded wala, you are black, you are fat. Parents say, you are good for nothing. This businessman says, you are consumer or consumed. Children say, you are a cantankerous father. So everyone say one opinion about yourself. Veda says, you are beautiful one, you are Amritasya Putraha. So unique knowledge it is. So can you verify it by other sense organs? Or can you deny? Or can you say that it is not useful one? So what Veda reveals is unique revelation about oneself, and it cannot be denied by any sense organs, and it is useful. Among those revelations, one revelation, relative revelation, is human being lives after death. Human being, or for that matter any being, survives the death of the physical body. More details of this argument we will see in the next class. Ramaya Ramachandraya Ramabhadraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitayah Pataye Namaha. Satyavratam Satyaparam Trisatyam Satyasya Yonim Nihitancha Satye Satyasya Satyam Vrata Satya Netram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapanna. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.